Hey everyone, so I want to go ahead and talk about the costs of doing fitness here in Taiwan, as well as some of the healthy nutrition that you should be aiming for. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. None of this is considered professional advice. Please make sure to do your own research. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. First of all, let's talk about some of the cheapest things that you can do to stay fit in Taiwan. The most obvious example are the Riverside parks. These are literally scattered throughout all of Taiwan, but the majority and the easiest ones to access, in my opinion, are here in Taipei. Basically, these parks are places with long stretches of road in which you can either go running, biking, or even other activities like using a scooter, rollerblading, or even skateboarding. These parks are basically free and they are literally open 24/7. You can access them at any time. This is very different from other places around the world. For example, in the US, many parks close after sunset. And in mainland China, a lot of their parks close as well. They are literally closed off with gated walls. In Taiwan, you can literally go at 2 or 3 in the morning for a jog if you want to. Actually, oftentimes I enjoy going at 4 or 4:30, depending on how my sleep schedule is or if I wake up very early. I love doing very early morning jogs. So that is completely free. The only thing you need is suitable clothes and suitable shoes to make it happen. Now, moving on to the next thing, YouBikes. I've spoken briefly about YouBikes in the past, but these are very cheap bikes that you can rent at kiosks throughout Taiwan. These bikes are very cheap, and usually they are rented out for maybe 1 or 2 hours at most, and the prices are really competitive. So basically, the pricing is, at least for the first 4 hours or so, it's about 10 Taiwanese dollars for every 30 minutes. So if you use the bike for an hour and a half, you're looking at paying $1 US for that whole entire period. Obviously, these bikes have some restrictions. They're not as fast as, customized or racing bikes, but they are a very good source of getting around, and they're also a good source of fitness if you have no alternative. And lastly, let's talk a little bit about swimming. Swimming will be a little bit more expensive, but definitely very accessible. Most swimming pools that are scattered throughout Taipei, at least, are very easy to get to, and they cost about 100 Taiwanese dollars for every time you enter. So make sure that if you plan on swimming a lot, to budget accordingly. I think about $20 to $30 a month, or 500 to 1,000 Taiwanese dollars a month is reasonable if you are a very active swimmer. There are such things as swimming passes as well, but for the most part, most people, and especially myself, I prefer to just pay whenever I go. And again, that fee is usually around 100 Taiwanese dollars. Sometimes it can be a little bit cheaper if you go very early in the morning, but just go ahead and budget it for 100 Taiwanese dollars. Lastly, if you're trying to do any sort of weights or calisthenics, a lot of these Riverside parks also have areas in which you can do pull-ups or other types of exercises as well. So all of that is completely free and easy to use. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the gyms as well, because that is something that I'm sure a lot of people will want to use, and they will want to do some weightlifting. So there are 2 to 3 different types of gyms I want to talk about, just to give you an idea. The first type are the public gyms that are scattered throughout Taipei City. These gyms usually charge about 50 to 100 Taiwanese dollars entrance fee, and you will get access to cardiovascular machines in which you can focus on your cardio, and access to weightlifting areas. These are good starting spots if you don't have anywhere else to go. You don't need to sign any contract or do any sort of complex paperwork, but there is one catch. A lot of these places are just not that comfortable or good for the long run. They can be extremely crowded. And on top of that, sometimes the machines or the equipment is not very good. When I went to these public gyms in the past, one of my biggest complaints was every time I was doing my weightlifting or my workouts, people get just way too close and you feel like you might accidentally hit someone. So just be forewarned. However, if it comes to price and affordability, these places can be very cheap. The next type of gym that you can find throughout Taiwan are private gyms that don't do a monthly subscription. So There are a few gyms or a few local gyms that will charge you a cover fee or an entrance fee, or they might have some sort of monthly pass that is just a one-time monthly pass. Or you can go to one of the gyms I go to, which is known as Self Room. And what they do is they simply just charge you per minute that you're inside the gym. So you put down a certain amount of money, and for every minute you're there, they charge you a certain amount. So this is a very good style of gym as well if you're not being extremely consistent, or you don't want to dedicate yourself and lock yourself in for a very long contract. Now, I want to talk about the more famous gyms, but these gyms have membership plans that can last 2 to 3 years, and sometimes these things can be very annoying to break out of. So let's go ahead and talk about the two types of gyms that you will see throughout all of Taiwan. The first type of gym is known as World Gym, and these gyms are, I at least feel, they're literally everywhere. You can find them at almost any location, and typically they go for prices of 1,400 Taiwanese dollars per month to 1,600 Taiwanese dollars per month, depending on what type of services that you want. There's also the World Gym Express gyms that go for about 688 Taiwanese dollars per month, but it's important to go ahead and look around and to shop with all the different types of World Gyms that you see. Be very careful when you select these prices, because there is not an actual set price when it comes to World Gym. People have had very cheap prices, and some people have had somewhat more expensive prices. So just be very careful when purchasing any sort of commitment or yearly plan with World Gym. But for the most part, when it's World Gym Express, you're looking at about 688 Taiwanese dollars per month. If you're only going to one specific gym, you are looking at about 1,288 Taiwanese dollars per month. And if you're going to multiple gyms or using it throughout all of Taipei City, you're looking at about 1,488 Taiwanese dollars per month, maybe a little bit more than that. So just keep these prices in mind. Maybe it might be a little bit more expensive, but just try your best to negotiate. Now, the other gym that is not as famous but is very, very nice and is focused a lot more on yoga is known as True Fitness. True Fitness is a very nice place, but they don't have as many locations. So if you pick True Fitness, make sure that you're simply going because one of them is either very close to your house or very close to your office. Preferably, in my opinion, close to your house makes a lot more sense, so that you can just go on weekends and weekdays and basically anytime if you ever move your job or go to another new job. So when it comes to True Fitness, one thing that's really nice about their establishment is that they have really nice yoga classes and they are very, very clean. Certainly much cleaner than other gyms. And they provide an excellent service. In a way, they are providing a really good field service. They provide towels, they provide everything that you really need to just enjoy yourself and your exercise. And I want to say it one more time, it is very clean. So this is a really nice feature about them. That being said, they are on the pricier side and they will cost you anywhere from 1,400 Taiwanese dollars a month to maybe around 1,600 Taiwanese dollars per month. So keep that in mind, and they will also try to lock you down for a couple of years of a contract. So make sure that you negotiate with these individuals so that you are going for those cheaper rates. Last but not least, there's also other things like personal trainers or CrossFit. These things will definitely cost you a lot more. World Gym, True Fitness, and some of these local gyms, as well as even the public gyms, all like to offer certain specialized classes or trainers, and these can vary in huge ways. First of all, when it comes to personal trainers, you are looking at about 1,300 Taiwanese dollars per hour at the very cheapest level to maybe 2,000 to 2,200 Taiwanese dollars per hour. These trainers can be very, very expensive, and you want to make sure you do your research because not all physical trainers are that talented or have that in-depth knowledge. Unfortunately, for some of these gyms, the personal trainer does not even have that much experience or has just joined the industry themselves. So they're really not the best qualified teacher. So just be very, very mindful of that. You want to make sure that you're focusing with a trainer that can really develop you. And secondly, when it comes to CrossFit, there's only a handful of places and the membership prices can be very pricey as well. However, I think everyone who has done CrossFit understands that prices for CrossFit are always a bit more expensive because each class requires a coach, they have very specialized equipment, and they have specialized plans. Here in Taiwan, the type of CrossFits I have seen typically range from 4,000 to 6,000 Taiwanese dollars per month. And in my opinion, if you have the time to focus on CrossFit and really do it, I think it's really, really worth it. Now, with all of that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the food for nutrition here as well. So there obviously are many options for nutritious food at Costco or at the grocery stores, and you can definitely find something that you need to nurture yourself as well as, to avoid fat and have high protein. But some of the cheaper options that I want to talk about here in Taiwan are the following. So the first one is chicken breast. Typically, chicken breasts throughout Taiwan are just not that expensive. They're some of the cheapest meats. And if you go into 7-Eleven or Family Mart after a workout, you can get a nice, decent chicken breast of many different flavors. Okay, like for example, Sichuan spicy or curry flavored or just, natural chicken breast for about 60 Taiwanese dollars. So that's the first source of pretty good protein that you can get throughout the island. And these are all over convenience stores, or you can just get them at grocery stores or at Costco. The second type would be soy milk. Now, not everyone enjoys soy milk, and not everyone enjoys soy milk without sugar. But if you are someone that really enjoys soy milk without sugar and enjoys occasionally drinking that, then this could be a good option as well because it's very high in protein. The third option is also known as tofu. Many areas and many places will sell tofu, although this is not really something that you can go into a convenience store for a snack. It's more or less something else that you can add to a dish. For the soy milk and the tofu, the prices are even cheaper. You are looking at about 25 to 35 Taiwanese dollars for certain soy milk, and for tofu, especially if you buy it at the store, you can find it for 30 to 35 Taiwanese dollars. Now, some people have mentioned that soy products have certain estrogen or certain effects. If you believe this is a negative effect, then, by all means, just skip this part. But if you believe that these are good proteins for you, then of course, indulge and get very good value here in Taiwan for these type of products. However, that research is really up to you guys. I'm not giving any sort of advice on whether or not soy products are healthy or a really good source of nutrition. I'm just talking about in terms of nutrition, in terms of protein. And lastly, if you want a quick protein snack, especially at convenience stores that is relatively healthy, I would go for the eggs. Now, a lot of the stores go ahead and serve different types of egg. Some of the nice ones would be the tea eggs. They're kind of brown eggs, very salty, but very delicious. But if you don't want to go through the tea eggs, sometimes they have refrigerated eggs that you can also go for. These are also a very good deal. They usually sell for about 40 Taiwanese dollars for 2 eggs, whereas the tea eggs are usually sold for 10 to 12 Taiwanese dollars per egg. So they're not too expensive on the budget. And if you ever need that type of protein snack, these are good options as well. That being said, of course, preparing your own food and preparing your own nutrition by going to the grocery store is best. I would not recommend relying on outside food to stay healthy here in Taiwan. Definitely consider cooking that type of food if you want to look for a very healthy and nutritious diet. With that being said, guys, I hope that could give you a type of idea of what to expect in terms of prices and what type of expenditures you need to do to stay fit here in Taiwan. Obviously, I'm still working on it, but I just want to make sure that everyone knows it really is not that pricey. These gyms, these locations for running and swimming, it's all very accessible. And there's other activities as well that people can do to stay healthy. For example, like hiking. Some people like going to the beach and swimming there. So there's many, many different outside activities that people can do to stay fit in Taiwan. So until next time, guys, wish you all the best and see you.